Listen carefully. When a woman ignores you, it feels like your worth is being questioned. It feels like your presence is invisible, like your effort means nothing. But here's the truth. Her silence is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your power. Ignorance is a test, and you have two choices. Chase her and lose yourself, or rise above and make her realize what she's about to lose. Today, I'll show you exactly what to do to crush her ego and reclaim your respect. When a woman ignores you, the first reaction that rises inside is the urge to chase. You want answers. You want to know what went wrong. You want to prove that you're worth her attention. That impulse is strong because your ego feels wounded and your pride feels attacked. But here's the truth. Chasing her is the fastest way to destroy your value. The more you push for her attention, the more she pulls away. Every text you send, every call you make, every time you try to explain yourself, you give her ego fuel. You hand her the power on a silver platter. She begins to believe that she is in control, that you're dependent on her recognition to feel good about yourself. And the moment you enter that cycle, you've already lost. Why women ignore men. This is why the first step, the most important move you can ever make when she ignores you, is to withdraw your attention completely. Not halfway, not I'll text her less. No, you must cut off the energy flow that she feeds on. Your attention is currency. And right now, it's the most valuable currency you have. When you give it to someone who dismisses you, you make yourself poor. But when you withdraw it, when you protect it like treasure, you make yourself rich in power. At first, it won't feel easy. It will burn inside to stay silent. You'll want to check her Instagram stories. You'll want to send that one last message just to see if she replies. You'll want to ask her, "Whoa, it's going on." That's weakness talking. That's desperation calling you. And you need to silence that voice, because the moment you take back your attention, something powerful begins to happen. She notices the change. She expects you to run after her like every other man does. But suddenly you're gone. You're silent. You've vanished from her radar. And that silence screams louder than any words you could ever say. Understand something very clearly. People don't value what is always available. The more you make yourself accessible, the more you show that you'll do anything for her time, the more she devalues you. But when you disappear, when you stop being her safety net, when you remove your presence, that's when the real shift takes place. She begins to feel the emptiness of your absence. She begins to wonder why you haven't chased, why you haven't begged, why you haven't broken like most men do. That curiosity is the first crack in her ego, and here's where most men fail. They think withdrawing attention means blocking her, being rude, or showing bitterness. That's not true strength. That's just another form of weakness. Real strength is silent and calm. You don't react, you don't explain, you don't announce your exit. You simply stop feeding her ego with your energy. Your dignity does the talking. And trust me, nothing crushes a woman's ego more than realizing the man she thought she controlled is no longer under her spell. The beauty of this move is that it doesn't just impact her, it transforms you. When you stop focusing on her, your mind clears. You free yourself from obsession. You start to see that your life, your goals, your growth are bigger than her attention. Suddenly, you're no longer trapped in her silence. You're free. That freedom is power. That freedom is what makes her ego collapse, because she expected you to be dependent on her, but instead you became independent. So when she ignores you, don't fight for her recognition. Don't beg for her time. Withdraw completely, because silence is not weakness. It's strength, and distance is not defeat. It's dignity. The moment you walk away with calm confidence, you don't just crush her ego, you rebuild the power of silence, your own. When you pull your attention away from a woman who ignores you, you suddenly find yourself holding extra time, energy, and focus. Most men waste this gift by drowning in self-pity, stalking her online, or replaying the situation in their head. That is the path of weakness. The path of strength is to take all that energy and pour it back into yourself. This is where self-growth comes in. It is not just a distraction. It is the weapon that transforms the entire game, because nothing crushes her ego more than seeing the man she dismissed rise higher, stronger, and sharper without her. Think about it. If she looks at you today and sees the exact same man she ignored, nothing changes. She feels validated in her decision to dismiss you. But if weeks or months later she sees a man who has leveled up, who looks different, who carries himself with authority, who is thriving, her mind cannot ignore it. Growth is undeniable, progress is magnetic, and it forces her to confront the fact that while she ignored you, you became even more valuable. Self-growth takes many forms, and the first battlefield is your body. When you step into the gym, you're not just lifting weights, you're rebuilding your identity. Every drop of sweat is proof that you value yourself enough to invest in strength. The moment your body begins to transform, people notice. Your confidence rises, your posture changes. And here's the secret. When your confidence is rooted in discipline, not in her approval, you become untouchable. But self-growth doesn't stop at the physical level. You must sharpen your mind, read more, learn more. 3. Develop skills that set you apart. The man who is constantly learning becomes unpredictable. He carries knowledge that makes conversations deeper, decisions smarter, and his presence more respected. A woman may ignore you today, but when she sees the impact of your growth on the people around you, when others start to admire you, respect you, even compete for your time, her ego takes a hit. She realizes she overlooked a man who refuses to remain stagnant. And let's talk about finances. Many men avoid this subject, but it's crucial. Money is not about buying her attention. It's about buying freedom. When you build your career, grow your income, or start your own projects, you stop living in scarcity. You stop depending on anyone to give you validation. Financial growth gives you independence. And independence is attractive because it signals strength. A woman may ignore a man who is stuck, but she cannot ignore a man who is moving forward with power. The key is consistency. Self-growth is not a one-time effort to get her back. Regaining your confidence, that mindset is weak because it still places her at the center. Growth has to be about you. It has to be about becoming the man who doesn't care who comes or goes because his value keeps rising regardless. Ironically, that mindset is what pulls people toward you, including her. Imagine the impact. She ignored you, expecting you to chase and crumble. Instead, you went silent. Then you returned stronger, sharper, and more confident than ever before. Your body looks different. Your career is advancing. Your social presence is expanding. Your energy is magnetic. She will feel it even if she tries to hide it. Her ego will be crushed by the undeniable reality that the man she thought she could dismiss turned out to be the man she underestimated. Self-growth is not about revenge. It is not about making her jealous. It is about rewriting your stent, or so that no one has the pause. Where to define your worth except you, because the moment you choose growth over obsession, you stop being the man she ignored and you become the man she can never forget. Confidence is not something you beg for, and it's not something that appears when someone finally acknowledges you. Real confidence is built in the dark, when nobody is watching, when nobody is clapping, and when no one is there to validate you. A woman may ignore you, and her silence might tempt you to think that your worth has decreased. But the truth is your worth has nothing to do with her reaction. Your confidence must be built so deeply that whether she stays, leaves, ignores, or admires, you remain unshaken. That kind of confidence does not come from talking big, it comes from discipline. Discipline is the hidden engine behind every strong man. It is what takes you from hoping to becoming. Think about the men you admire, the ones who command respect when they walk into a room. They did not wake up like that. They built themselves brick by brick, day after day, by keeping promises to themselves. They said they would wake up early, and they did. They said they would work out, and they did. They said they would stick to their goals, and they did. Over time, that consistency formed unshakable confidence, because when you know you can rely on yourself, the world cannot break you. When a woman ignores you, it is often a test of this inner strength. She wants to see if your confidence is real, or if it was just words. If you crumble, chase, and beg, she knows your confidence was fake. But if you remain calm, disciplined, and focused on your path, she realizes that your strength is not dependent on her. And that realization hits her ego hard, because she expected you to be like every other man, desperate for her attention. Every day you practice discipline. You build armor. When you push yourself in the gym, when you study instead of wasting time, when you keep control of your emotions, you harden your mindset. You are proving to yourself that you are in control. And here is the truth. The man who is in control of himself does not need to control others, nor does he need others to validate him. That independence is magnetic. It sends a message that says, I know my value with or without you. The reason discipline creates confidence is because it removes doubt. Most men doubt themselves because they break their own promises. They say they'll change, but they don't. They say they'll grow, but they remain the same. That inner guilt eats away at them. And when rejection comes, they collapse under the weight of it. But when you live with discipline, you carry no guilt. You look in the mirror and you respect the man looking back. And that respect radiates as confidence. Now imagine her perspective. She ignores you, expecting you to chase. Instead, she, how to respond without reacting, watches you stay focused, consistent, and unbothered. She sees your life moving forward, your habits strengthening, your presence becoming more commanding. She realizes her silence did not shake you. It only refined you. That crushes her ego, because she no longer has the power she thought she did. She cannot control a man who controls himself. This is why discipline is not just about routines. It is about identity. Every small victory builds your confidence brick by brick until you become a man who cannot be broken by rejection. And that is the ultimate power, because the day you stop needing validation is the day you start commanding respect. And when you reach that level, her ignorance no longer hurts you. Instead, it exposes her weakness while amplifying your strength. Unshakable confidence is not a gift. It's a reward earned through discipline. And once you own it, no woman, no silence, no rejection can take it away. One of the biggest mistakes men make is shrinking their world around one woman. They put her at the center of their attention, their time, their energy, and their plans. And when she ignores them, their entire life feels empty, like the sun disappeared and the world went dark. This is exactly what inflates her ego, because she feels she holds the keys to your happiness. The way to crush that illusion is to expand your social value and grow a network that makes you bigger than her. The moment you do this, she is no longer the center of your universe. She becomes a small part of a much larger world, and that shift is what makes her ego collapse. Expanding your social value begins with building genuine connections. You cannot sit in isolation scrolling on your phone and expect people to see you as a man of influence. You have to step out into the world, go to events, join communities, engage in activities that allow you to meet new people. Each new connection you make adds to your presence, your influence, and your appeal. Humans naturally value those who are valued by others. It's called social proof. When people see you surrounded by respect, attention, and admiration, they cannot ignore you. Even the woman who once dismissed you will feel the weight of that. This does not mean you put on a fake show or force friendships. It means you focus on becoming the type of man who others want to be around. A man with energy, purpose, and ambition. A man who adds value to the people in his circle. The stronger your network, the stronger your image. And when she sees you thriving socially, when she realizes that your time is not empty but filled with people who enjoy your presence, her ego feels the sting of losing its special position. She thought she was the only one who mattered, but now she sees she is easily replaced in your expanding world. Social value is not just to borrow your friends either. It's about respect in every area of your life. Are you respected at work? Do shifting the power dynamic, people look to you for leadership? Do others admire your determination and discipline? These are the things that build a man's status, and status is something a woman cannot ignore. She may try to pretend she doesn't care, but deep inside she feels the shift. When the man she overlooked is being recognized by others, it forces her to question her own judgment. The beauty of expanding your social value is that it liberates you. When your world is wide, you stop being dependent on one person's response. If she ignores you, it doesn't matter, because your life is full. You have options, connections, and opportunities. That abundance changes the way you carry yourself. It puts you in a position of strength, and strength is always attractive. Imagine the difference. She ignores you today, expecting you to chase. Instead, she sees you laughing with new friends, networking with influential people, and building a presence that is bigger than her. She sees others competing for your attention, admiring your progress, respecting your name. That picture alone crushes her ego, because she realizes she lost a man who was only becoming greater. She expected you to shrink without her, but you expanded. She thought you needed her spotlight, but you built your own stage. Expanding your social value is not about making her jealous. It's about making yourself abundant. The more abundant your world becomes, the smaller her ego feels. And when you stand tall in that abundance, she cannot ignore you anymore because everyone else refuses to. Silence is often misunderstood. Most men think silence is weakness, that staying quiet means you've given up or accepted defeat. But in reality, silence is one of the most powerful weapons you can use. When a woman ignores you, her ego feeds on your reaction. She expects you to reach out, to demand answers, to send long messages explaining your feelings. Every desperate move you make is fuel to her pride. But when you stay silent, you cut off that fuel supply. Suddenly, she has nothing to feed on, nothing to boost her ego, nothing to control. That's when the power shifts. Patience works hand in hand with silence. Patience means you are not rushing for a response, not begging for closure, not trying to force her back into your life. You allow time to do its job. When you wait calmly, when you refuse to break, you send a strong message. You are not desperate. That message alone hits harder than anything you could ever say out loud. Because most men fail this test, they cannot stand the discomfort of being ignored, so they panic. But the man who waits silently shows that he has complete control over himself. And that control is power. At first, she might feel victorious when you go silent. She might think she has final thoughts, motivation, finally pushed you away for good. But slowly, the silence begins to grow louder. Doubts creep in. Why hasn't he reached out? Why isn't he chasing me like everyone else does? Did he move on? Is he seeing someone else? That uncertainty shakes her ego. The same silence that looked like weakness now feels like strength. She realizes she no longer has the upper hand because you are no longer predictable. The art of silence is not about ignoring her out of anger or bitterness. It's about mastering your emotions so deeply that you no longer need to react. Your silence comes from strength, not from spite. You're not punishing her. You're protecting yourself. You're shy, owing that you don't waste words or energy on someone who doesn't value them. That calm restraint commands respect even from those who tried to dismiss you. Patience adds another layer to this power. Silence without patience is just temporary. You might stay quiet for a few days, but then you break and send that message you promised yourself you wouldn't send. That collapse shows weakness. But when you practice patience, when you stretch that silence and hold it with discipline, you build pressure. The longer you hold, the more powerful your presence becomes in her mind. She begins to imagine scenarios, question her choices, and feel the void of your absence. That void is what makes her ego crumble. Think of silence and patience as a mirror. They reflect back to her the reality of her choices. Without your reaction to distract her, she has no escape from the emptiness. And when she finally realizes that you didn't chase, that you didn't beg, that you didn't collapse, her ego suffers the biggest blow because deep down her confidence relied on the idea that you needed her. But your silence and patience prove that you never did. In a world where most men overreact, staying silent makes you stand out. In a world where everyone rushes, patience makes you rare. Together they give you an edge that no words or arguments could ever provide. They make you mysterious, untouchable, and powerful. And the truth is, nothing crushes a woman's ego more than realizing the man she ignored remained calm, patient, and strong without her. So, master the art of silence. Embrace the strength of patience. Because sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to say nothing at all and let your calm presence do the talking. So remember, withdraw your attention, invest in growth, build confidence, expand your social value, and master silence. Do this and her ego won't just crack, it will collapse. Stop wasting energy, chasing validation. Become the man who doesn't beg, doesn't break, and doesn't bend for anyone. Your worth is not determined by her attention. It's determined by the standard you set for yourself. The moment you choose self-respect over desperation, you win.